What really is your state of the economy? I mean, taking a lead from what the president has said.
Good morning, and it's good to see you again. I want to acknowledge the presence of someone I'm proud to call my big brother, Honorable Rashid Pelpo. Good morning to you too. Listen, with all respect to the president, I have to disagree with him. It's to be expected that he will talk up his performance at this time. As he's about to leave, he will talk it up. But really, is he in touch with how we feel and perceive this economy? For starters, how can he talk about returning to pre-COVID levels when he's still under an IMF injunction? When in the last 2 years, he took money away, 60 billion cedis from high net worth individuals in this country as tax in the domestic debt exchange program. He took money from the ordinary person. How can he say we've returned to pre-COVID levels when 2 years ago, 2022, after COVID, if I gave you 600 cedis, it was $100. If I gave you 6,000 cedis, it was $1,000. Today, if I give you 600 cedis, it is $32. If I give you 6,000 cedis, it is $320. 68% of your purchasing power has been wiped out. What are we talking about? I'm talking about the difference between 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago maximum, and today. Not 10 years, not 5 years, not even 4 years. Please. I have to disagree with him. How can you say we are, what do you call it? We are out of the woods when we can't balance a budget, when we have to borrow to consume, borrow to do everything? How can you say we are out of the woods when before COVID, outside the multilateral and bilateral agencies, people were prepared to lend money to us? And today, we are a pariah amongst nations. We are on our knees. We declared bankruptcy, and we are barely about to start to pay. And nobody will lend money to us on the commercial market. What are we talking about? How can he say he left us better off when I'm sure Honorable Rashid Pelpo will tell you that in the north, food prices have risen remarkably, very high. There's a famine in certain places in the north. And there's no official program to alleviate this issue. How can we say we've been left with a better economy when cocoa, which has been the bedrock of our economy forever, is 30% of pre-COVID production levels? And the Cocoa Board has just issued another warning that we should expect an even lower yield this season. How can we say that the economy is better when treasury bill rates are still at 25%? How can we say the economy is better when inflation over this period went as high as 50%, came to 30%, and is now at around 23%, 25%? Please. And bear in mind though, nobody should say prices have started falling. It is inflation that has fallen. If 3 years ago, if January 2022, you bought an item for 100 cedis, and the end of year inflation was 50% like it was, it means that at the end of the year, you paid 150 cedis for this item. If in 2023 inflation was at 33%, it means you paid 33% of the 150 cedis. That's another 50 cedis. That takes you to 200 cedis. If this year or last year, 2024, we said inflation ended at 25%, it is 25% of 200 cedis, which is another 50 cedis. That means the item that you bought for 100 cedis in January 2023, you will buy today at 250 cedis. It is inflation has fallen. Prices have not fallen. When we say you vibed up 68% of our standard of living, how many people can say that their salaries have risen up by 68%? That's ridiculous. Truly, from where I sit, I cannot agree with him in any shape or form ever that the economy is better than it was when he came in 2016, or that it has even returned to pre-COVID levels.
I see.
Listen,
yes,
3 years ago,
okay,
we were down on our knees. I say that this economy was in a coma. We've been resuscitated. We've been taken off life support, but we are still in intensive care. And anybody who says that Ghana is still not broke is not being realistic.
Great. I was just about getting to that point. Yourself and your boss have many times said Ghana is broke, but he said that the country, and I'm quoting, the country is not broke, as some propagandists want us to believe. We are handing over the country with gross international reserves of almost $8 billion. This is more than the $6.2 billion my administration inherited in 2017. At least that is a fact that indicates some positivity, at least in their economy. So it doesn't look like everything is gloom. There are spots of positives, and this is one of them. The gross reserve, the international reserves at 8 billion, he took it from 6.2 billion. And so we cannot say that Ghana is broke. That's what he's saying. And so by extension, he calls you and your boss and all those people saying Ghana is broke propagandists.
Oh, I'm proud to be able to take on the label propagandists, if that is what it takes to call broke. Listen, I'm fine. I'm very proud to hold up a placard and say I'm a propagandist because I say Ghana is broke. Ghana is broke, right? And broke cannot be remedied by just international reserves. Please. I thought this was the government that said if the fundamentals are wrong, the exchange rate will
expose you.
Will betray you.
Will expose you, yes.
Yes, where's the exchange rate? Where's the inflation rate? Where are interest rates? Where is the unemployment rate? Please. Ghana is broke because we still cannot balance a budget and we still have to borrow to consume. That is why we are broke. By our definition, if you are paid and at the end of the month, you still have to borrow to consume, not borrow to undertake infrastructure. Borrow to consume. In my books, you are broke. And whatever, I'm proud to be called a propagandist. But listen, let's also be clear. The reserve situation is good. And one of the things we say is that even if there's an Akan proverb that says, even if you hate the hair, you should give credit to its speed. So we give credit to that. And I've been on record saying that one of the things we should not do is to throw the baby out with the bathwater. The gold for reserves, gold for oil program has improved our reserves dramatically over this year. In fact, this claiming it is now 8 billion when it was 6 is not exactly the full truth. At the beginning of this year, we were down to 0.8%. 0.8 of a month's reserves. What happened this year is that we undertook the Gold for Reserves, Gold for Oil program. And even though the execution was ambiguous, even though we may have had problems with the execution, some good came out of it. And this Gold for Oil has given this government maybe its single claim to fame, that it improves our reserve position. That only happened this year. I tell you this, I give them full credit for the Gold for Oil program. I give them full credit, and I urge the incoming administration to look at it carefully and to implement it even better than this ambiguous implementation that was done. But it did still deliver some good, so I give them credit for that. But that's only one spot amidst many, many, many other spots. Please, the overall picture is not good. So as much as I will agree with the issue of increasing reserves, as much as I would say that that is one bright spot in our present reality, please, the overall picture is still not changed. Maybe in the midst of the gloom, there's a bright spot.
I see.
Maybe in the midst of the gloom, there's light at the end of the tunnel. But at the moment, we are still broke.
Great. Interesting thoughts there.